On a distant planet shrouded in hostility, challenges explorers with perilous mysteries. Many types of legends of folklore exist on this planet beneath the fog. Secrets wait to be uncovered. Some whisper of wonders beyond imagination, while others warn of lurking horrors. All agreed on one thing. The Veil was a place of power, a place of mystery. Few dared to enter. Fewer returned. Those who did spoke in hushed tones. Their eyes held a distant look, as if remembering a dream. A dream is both beautiful and terrifying. The abyssal veil awaited. Its call echoed in the silence. Kael, the young scientist adventurer. A fire burned in his heart, a thirst for adventure, for the unknown. He had heard the whispers, the stories of the abyssal veil. They called to him, like a siren song. He couldn't resist. He stood at the edge of the forest. Mist swirled around him, a veil between worlds. He took a deep breath. The air was heavy, laden with the scent of pine and damp earth. He took a step, then another. He was committed. There was no turning back. The forest embraced him. The mist swallowed him whole. He walked in silence. Each step a new discovery. The trees were ancient, their bark covered in moss and lichen. They twisted and turned, reaching towards the sky like gnarled hands. The air grew colder, the light dimmer. Sounds seemed muffled, distorted. The whispers of the forest grew louder. He couldn't understand them, but he felt their meaning. Curiosity, caution, welcome. He stumbled upon a clearing. The air was thick with mist, and the ground was soft beneath his feet, muffling his steps. It felt as though he had entered another world, one untouched by time. The trees here were different. They stood like ancient sentinels, their forms twisted and gnarled, as if shaped by some unseen force. Each tree seemed to have a story to tell, a history etched into its bark, their branches bare and twisted. They reached out like skeletal hands, clawing at the sky. The absence of leaves made them appear even more haunting, their silhouettes stark against the fog, like tortured souls reaching for a salvation they could never find. The very sight of them sent shivers down his spine, a reminder of the countless tales of woe and despair that had been whispered about this place. They swayed in a non-existent breeze. It was as if the trees were alive, moving to a rhythm only they could hear. The motion was both mesmerizing and unsettling, a dance of the damned, their wood creaking and groaning, a chorus of laments. The sound was a symphony of sorrow, each creak and groan a note in a dirge that echoed through the clearing. It was a sound that spoke of ages past, of memories long forgotten. This was the Wailing Grove. He had heard tales, stories of travelers who had ventured into its depths, never to return. The grove was said to be a place of mourning, where the trees themselves wept for the lost souls. Legends whispered of trees that wept, trees that remembered. They held the memories of those who had perished within the grove, their sorrow etched into the very fibers of their being. It was said that if you listened closely you could hear their whispers, trees that held the pain of the world. Their bark bore the scars of countless tragedies, each mark a testament to the suffering they had witnessed. The weight of their sorrow was palpable, a heavy presence that hung in the air. He could feel their sorrow. It seeped into his very soul, a deep and abiding sadness that threatened to overwhelm him. The connection was undeniable, a bond forged in shared grief. It pressed down on him, heavy and suffocating. He moved on. Each step was a struggle, the weight of the grove's sorrow bearing down on him. But he knew he had to continue, to find the heart of the veil, seeking solace in the depths of the veil. He hoped that somewhere within this haunted forest, he would find the peace he so desperately sought. The journey was far from over, but he was determined to see it through. The jellyfox led me through the forest. Its light illuminated the path. The air grew damp again. The sound of rushing water filled the air. We emerged into another clearing. A river cut through its heart. Its water is a deep emerald green. This was the Whispering River. Legend claimed it held the secrets of the veil. If one listened closely enough, he knelt by the bank. The water flowed over smooth stones, whispering secrets in a language he couldn't understand, but he felt their power. The jelly fox led me onward, deeper into the vale. The trees thinned, the mist parted, revealing a sight that took my breath away, a clearing bathed in sunlight. In its center stood a structure of ancient stone, its walls covered in intricate carvings. This was the heart of the vale, a place of power, a place of peace. He could feel the energy thrumming around him. It vibrated through the air, through the earth, through him. He was home. He had found what he was searching for. I entered the structure. The entrance was narrow, barely wide enough for me to squeeze through. As I stepped inside, the world outside seemed to vanish, replaced by an overwhelming sense of history and mystery. The walls were adorned with ancient carvings, telling stories long forgotten by time. The air inside was cool and still. It felt as if the very atmosphere was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The silence was profound, broken only by the faint echo of my footsteps on the stone floor. Dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight that pierced through cracks in the ceiling. Each beam of light seemed to highlight the age and grandeur of the place, casting long shadows that played tricks on my eyes. In the center of the chamber, resting on a pedestal of stone, lay a book. Its cover was ancient, bound in leather. The book seemed to emanate a faint glow as if it held a power of its own. The pedestal was intricately carved, depicting scenes of battles and rituals. He approached it slowly. Each step felt heavy, as if the very ground was resisting his advance. The air grew thicker, charged with an energy that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. Drawn to it by an unseen force, it was as if the book was calling out to him, whispering secrets that only he could hear. His hand trembled as he reached out, the anticipation almost unbearable. As he reached out a hand, the book pulsed with a faint light. He opened it. The light grew brighter, illuminating the chamber with an ethereal glow. The pages seemed to come alive, the text shifting and changing before his eyes. The pages were filled with writing, intricate symbols and diagrams that seemed to move and dance on the parchment. It was a language he didn't recognize, yet it felt strangely familiar, as if he had always known it. A language he didn't recognize, yet somehow he understood. The words spoke directly to his soul, revealing truths and knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. He felt a connection to the book as if it was a part of him. The book spoke of the Vale, of its history. It painted vivid pictures of mythical landscapes, of ancient civilizations that had risen and fallen. The illustrations were so detailed, they seemed to leap off the page. Its secrets, its power. It spoke of him. The book revealed his destiny, his role in the grand tapestry of the Vale. It was a revelation that would change his life forever, setting him on a path he had never imagined. I spent days in the heart of the Vale. It was a place unlike any other, where time seemed to stand still, and the air was thick with the scent of ancient trees and blooming flowers. The forest was alive, whispering secrets to those who would listen, consuming the knowledge contained within the ancient book. Each page was a gateway to a world of wisdom, filled with the lore of the ancients and the mysteries of the natural world. I felt a deep connection to the words, as if they were written for me alone. Learning the secrets of the forest, every leaf, every stone, every creature had a story to tell. The forest was a living library, and I was its eager student, absorbing its lessons with every step I took. The whispers of the wind, they carried messages from distant lands and times long past, filling my mind with visions of forgotten realms and ancient civilizations. The wind was a storyteller, and I was its captive audience. The language of the trees. Their bark was etched with the history of the world, and their roots reached deep into the earth, connecting them to the very soul of the planet. By touching them, I felt a part of something greater, something eternal. I was no longer a stranger here. The forest had accepted me, and I had accepted it. We were one, bound by a mutual respect and understanding. I walked its paths with confidence, knowing that I was exactly where I was meant to be. I was a part of it. The forest and I were inseparable, our fates intertwined. I felt its pulse, its breath, its life force flowing through me. It was a bond that could never be broken, but he knew he couldn't stay. Not yet. There were still things he needed to do, lessons to learn, and challenges to face in the world beyond the forest. The veil had given him much, but it was not yet time for him to remain. The world outside called to him. It was a call he could not ignore, a pull that drew him away from the comfort and safety of the forest. There were people who needed him, places that awaited his discovery, and adventures that beckoned him forward. He had much to learn, much to do. The knowledge he had gained in the veil was just the beginning. There were still many mysteries to unravel, many truths to uncover. His journey was far from over. He emerged from the veil a changed person, filled with knowledge, filled with purpose. The forest had transformed him, given him a new sense of direction and a deeper understanding of himself and the world around him. He looked back at the forest. It was a place of magic and wonder, a sanctuary that had become a part of his very being. He knew that he would carry its lessons with him, no matter where his path might lead. The mist had already begun to close in. It was as if the forest was bidding him farewell, wrapping itself in a shroud of mystery once more. The veil was retreating into its own world, waiting for the day he would return, hiding the veil from view. The forest was a secret place, hidden from the eyes of the unworthy. Only those who truly understood its magic could find their way back. He knew that he was one of the chosen few. He knew he would return. The forest had become a part of him, and he a part of it. Their bond was unbreakable, and he was determined to honor the promise he had made to himself and to the veil. The abyssal veil was a part of him now. Its magic flowed through his veins, its wisdom filled his mind, and its spirit guided his actions. He was forever changed by his time in the forest, and he a part of it. The forest had claimed him as its own, and he had accepted that claim with gratitude and reverence. He was a guardian of its secrets, a keeper of its wisdom. The veil slept, for now, but he knew that one day he would return to awaken its magic once more. Until then, the forest would wait, a silent sentinel, guarding its secrets and nurturing its mysteries.